Welcome to the Joy Inspired podcast. I'm Nikki Cruise, and I'm thrilled to explore with you what it means to walk in a faith-infused business. This is your space to find powerful tools and insights, to build with resilience, and to create impact through your unique purpose, discovering a joy that only God can provide. Together, let's embrace a business journey anchored in faith and empowered by joy. Let's jump in. Hi, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Joy Inspired podcast. It's me again, Nikki Cruise, your go-to cheerleader for faith, mindset, and fierce purpose-driven living. If you're new here, grab a cup of coffee, grab your journal, maybe even that snack that you've been hiding from your kids or your husband. We're about to dive in. Today's episode is about something really real and raw, and something that every entrepreneur, every mama, and every person, ministry, has struggled with. You know, at one point or another, we have all had financial struggles. Yep, I'm actually going there. Because let's be honest, some days trusting God with those finances feels easier when there is a huge bank balance. But what about when you're staring at your bank app like, Lord, is this where you're testing me? Or am I starring in a live action version of Job right now? Here's the truth. God, the same God, the one who's the same yesterday, today, and forever, He is still in the provision business. Even when it doesn't look like it, even when the numbers don't make sense, God makes sense. But we do have to look at things from that different perspective. Often the numbers don't make sense, but God's wisdom and God's truth does. So let's talk about that truth. If you're in a season where money is tight and it feels like every dream, every desire is just too expensive, those bills look like mini sermons trying to preach fear into your soul, then listen to me carefully. You're not alone. God isn't absent in your finances. In fact, some of the most faith-strengthening moments for me have come from learning how to trust Him when there is less than enough, because that is the perspective. So let's bring in our scripture anchor for today. Philippians 4:19 says, "And my God shall supply all your needs according to His riches in glory by Jesus Christ." He shall supply all your needs according to His riches in glory. Did you catch that? It's not your riches. It's not your paycheck. It's not even your side hustle and the inconsistent income that you earn from that. But it's His riches in glory. Let me tell you, heaven isn't broke. Do you know that? Heaven is this incredibly wealthy kingdom with a place of abundance. So we get to change our perspective. We get to change that mindset when we are looking at a bank balance and stepping into fear and thinking it doesn't make sense. The numbers don't add up. God's math doesn't make sense. But you know what? That's such an amazingly good thing. I'm not sure about you guys, but I have never been a math whiz unless it's counting how many days until that paycheck. And then I use the calculator, 2 notebooks, and a prayer circle just to get me through the calculation. But God's math is different. God's math just is God's math. He fed 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fishes. He paid Peter's temple tax from a coin in a fish's mouth. Yeah, Okay, you don't need to go running around looking in the fish's mouths at the moment. And he told a widow to pour oil from a jar. This didn't run out. That's God's math. Why? Because when you give God what you do have, He will multiply it in ways that you never expected. You do have to give it to Him first. So let's be real. Talking about that faith over fear, faith doesn't mean you won't ever feel the fear. It just means that you're not going to let the fear drive the bus. And if fear is behind the wheel of your finances right now, it's time to pull over. Give fear the boot and let faith adjust the mirror so that you can see differently and start the GPS, God's protection services. Here's another scripture to remind us of that. And this one is from Psalm 37:25. I have been young and now am old, yet I have not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his descendants begging bread. Old, young, and not seen the righteous forsaken or begging bread. There is so much in scripture that talks of God's provision, and yet so often when that fear grips us, we lose that focus. So you're not out there begging. You're believing, you're building, you're boldly trusting God in a season that feels tight because you know He is still good, even when your Wi-Fi gets cut out and you're in the middle of a Zoom call, and yeah, you get the picture. So what you can do in those financial struggles, 3 faith-fueled steps. Speak life over your finances. Say it with me. Let's say it right now. I may be broke today, but I serve a God who owns it all. Start praying specifically. Speak abundance. Declare peace over your money mindset. And it's not just about speaking it, it's about living it. Don't speak the abundance and then continue to live in fear. Secondly, be sure to be stewarding what you have. Don't underestimate the power of organizing your current resources, tithing, budgeting, even selling that one day I'll wear this. You know, those things you buy that are sitting there? That can be part of your breakthrough. And thirdly, continue to serve. Serve with what's in your hand, the things you do have. Like the widow in 2 Kings 4, he had oil. What do you have? You have skills, time, encouragement. Use it because God will multiply what we surrender. I've had seasons where I've had to pray that the money would show up. I've had to believe for favor in places I never thought I would. But God showed up every single time. And one of my favorite reminders that He does exactly that is sometimes God lets you hit rock bottom so you'll discover He is the rock at the bottom. And that's Tony Evans bringing more wisdom to us. Let me say that again. Sometimes God lets you hit rock bottom so you'll discover He is the rock at the bottom. Write it on a sticky note and slap it on your fridge. Put another copy on your computer, another copy in your bathroom. Your finances don't define you. They don't define your faith, but they can refine it. And it's not about your financial circumstances, but your response to it. So don't let a temporary financial storm convince you that you failed. Rather, let it remind you of who is still in the boat with you and who speaks to waves and tells them to be still. Well, He can speak to that. He can speak to every circumstance in just that way. So if this episode encouraged you, Why don't you do me a favor and share it with someone who needs to hear this? This is a subject we don't often talk about. As entrepreneurs, we want to always appear successful and in control. We aren't in control. God is. And when we start to see that things aren't as we expect, we lose our joy. We begin to stand in the fear. What is greater than all of those needs you have? He will provide. We serve a God of abundance. And sometimes we just have to change the way we see things, because when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. So until next time, be encouraged. See different ways that you can step in to glorify God, even with financial challenges, just because you choose to stand in faith. Blessings all. Hope you have a week of laughter. Keep standing, keep smiling, and keep joyfully unleashing your more powerful purpose. Love you big time. Bye. Thank you so much for joining me on the Joy Inspired Podcast at www.joyinspiredpodcast.com. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you can get this and every other episode that comes out. We have lots of great stuff coming and you don't want to miss it. So make sure to hit that subscribe. I am so grateful for all the reviews and comments, and I look forward to serving you in next week's episode.